Yeah, Coach, just to start, I mean, what'd you like about fall? What worked out for you? What did you kind of feel like you guys got accomplished?
I think we got a lot accomplished. We have a long ways to go still. There's a lot of things that we still need to put in, consistency in every area. The competitiveness is the things that I could smile about. It was as competitive, and part of it may be due to the fact there's so many jobs to be won
Right.
across the field. We don't have a solidified returning shortstop. We don't have a solidified returning second baseman like we did last year with Sentinel and Simcox. We got a lot of open positions. Got a good battle going on behind the plate. We got good battles on the mound. It was as competitive of a fall, culminating by the Orange-White series, which, as a coaching staff, we walked away thoroughly pleased. The play wasn't always perfect. It never is going to be perfect. But the way those two teams went against each other and how competitive it was great signs for me on how the will to win. And they've got a good mindset. Now the challenge is, in this time where we're not doing as much anymore, that they can finish strong in the classroom, continue in their weights, continue in their development. So when we reconvene on January 15th as a team again, that we're prepared to make the long run through our season.
You talked about there being so many jobs open. Did anything sort of solidify in this fall, or I mean, I imagine Nick Senzel's got a job. Other than
Well,
that,
Nick Senzel solidified that he's going to be a very good player for us.
Yeah.
He had a good fall. I'm very proud of him. Obviously with all the accolades off the summer and what he accomplished, you kind of wonder how guys are going to come back. And he put on a show. He did. He displayed power. I think he's still developing at third base, but we're comfortable with where he's at. He's a good athlete there. There's some little things that he needs to continue to work on. But boy, from an offensive standpoint, he was scary. He was scary in the box, and he really solidified himself, in my opinion, as not only one of the best hitters in the SEC, but going to be one of the best hitters in the country. And I think there's some, I feel good about where our catching position is. I don't know what the pitching is going to end up roles-wise, but I feel really confident about 9 to 11 of them that are going to fill those 8 to 9 roles. I think we have a lot of good choices in the outfield to choose from. We have options. Now it's about guys separating themselves as we continue to go, and that's what the next 2 months are. I've said this throughout my whole career. To me, success within programs is developed over the next 2 months. The choices your young men make, what they decide to do, what they decide not to do on and off the field, I think kind of is a real tale for what's to come down the line.
You mentioned pitching. I in the job still kind of being open. Have you got an idea? Okay, who's a starter, who's a reliever at this point?
No, I really don't. I'm not to where I could say publicly. I think there's some good choices, really good choices, and I think as a coaching staff, we talk every day about roles, and I feel there's some great choices. Just we don't know exactly where they're going to fill. It's going to depend on how they come back. And, I've said this forever. The fall is very important because we kind of get acquainted with our team to see what kind of attitude and mentality and competitiveness they have. But for me, jobs are really won when we come back.
Right.
A guy could have really struggled in the fall, but when we come back in the winter, if he does well, then he's going to have a shot. Go back to the offensive side, and when you asked about, I talked about Senzel. I'll talk about him a lot. I always will talk about him a lot, but Jordan Rogers, his maturity and development, I really like. I don't know where Jordan's going to play. Him and Nick are both a third. Jordan, and what I like about Jordan is it doesn't matter where he plays. He's just going to play.
Yeah.
And he's a good enough athlete that we can move him around a lot of places. We're going to play with him a little bit at first base, a little bit with him in the outfield, if it isn't third base. So Chris Hall, in his senior year, his second year here, I've seen a total transformation of a maturity and consistency out of him. The thing I really like is the fact that we have 8 seniors on this roster, and I feel they're all going to contribute in a big way. And I think that is so important for longevity of success, especially in the conference run. When you look around the conference and you see the other teams that have had success, they've had a slew of seniors. And it's one thing to have seniors on your team that aren't playing. It's another to have seniors that are going to be big contributors. Another guy that stands out for me is Derek Lance. Derek's been a guy in his whole career that we've always seen it. It's just there's never been the constant consistency.
Right.
and I feel he's going to have his best year in his last year. And then last but not least, of the returners, the senior Jeff Moberg. Mobes has been in this program, been in and out of the lineup, more out than in. And Mobes has had as good as of a fall of anybody, and has really shown the capability of solidifying that second base position. So I'm really happy for him because he's a true baseball player, and it'd be good to get him on the field with his leadership and his knowledge as an everyday player in his senior year.
You talked before about Vincent Jackson. What did you see from him? Basically, I saw him a little bit on the mound. You know, one, how is he doing offensively, defensively, and what is that sort of experiment about with him?
Well, 4 years ago when we recruited Vincent, he was a pitcher
right.
and a position player. Had some arm issues. We shut down pitching. He came to me actually and said, "Coach, I want to give it another run." I don't know where the impact will be on the mound. I think we want and need Vincent to have a big year.
Right.
We're still looking for that guy to hit behind Sentinel. And with Vincent's success that he's had in the past at times, with his imposing posture, he would be the perfect guy. Vincent, and I think he would say the same thing, probably didn't have the fall that any of us were looking for. But again, I don't want to discount that, but it is the fall. And he has shown us over the course of the last 3 years of some consistency and success. But we need Vincent to have a big year. And it would be no better time than now in his senior year.
What do you think about each of the junior college guys? How ready are each of them to make an impact?
I think John Lipinski has shown signs that he can be an impact on the pitching staff. He's got some mentality. There was an outing that I could point to, his second to his last outing, that I saw the guy that I figured we were recruiting. It was high energy mentality. He's got the good enough stuff, but I, for the first time, saw it come out in that series. Max Bartlett at short continues to get better each and every day. Could be a slick fielding infielder, just needs to slow down a little bit. He was a little bit slowed by the bat, but at that position, we're going to just want a guy to pick the ball up and throw it across the diamond. And I think with Coach Simcox working with him daily, I think he's gotten more consistent on how important it is to make all the routine plays. He has the capability of holding that position down with his ability level.
Who do you see fighting with him? I mean, who is he battling?
Well, Langhorn right now. Langhorn's been there. Brett's been a little slowed. Brett had a cast on his hand for the first 5 weeks. Came back, get out on the field right away. I think it's unfair to judge him off his performance this fall. Hit well. Didn't play as good as the defense as we want out of the shortstop. But again, I think it's a little unfair. He kind of rushed himself. We rushed him a little bit. I don't think his arm was strong every day, because I think he went through some dead arm later in the fall, and like guys that have already gone through that. He's a possibility. Dathan Pruitt, who is another guy that really rose during the fall. Dathan was a JC transfer out of Walter State and sat out last year. Dathan's an exciting player, and it's going to be hard to keep him out of that lineup. He's going to be somewhere in the middle of our field and play a prominent role in our lineup somewhere. He's such a good athlete. He led the country 2 years ago in junior college baseball of stolen bases. I think he was thrown out one time out of 56 attempts. He's an exciting player that we've added to the mix. So there's a lot of exciting things. Now it's just a matter about holding those all together and continue to grow as a team. But the one thing that I feel good about is this team, and I go back to in the first week when we did the Navy SEALs training. I really think that has a big part of what has brought this team so close together and so competitive and willing to fight for everything they're going to give.
Quick on that, we talked a lot about chemistry, especially at the end of last year. Do you see it being a lot better now? I mean, do you see it?
I'm only going off what the guys tell me.
Right.
And the guys say that this team is closer today than the last few years' teams have been at the end of the year. That's a good sign for me. There's a competitiveness between them all, but there's a brotherhood between them, and that you wouldn't want it any differently as a coach. I mean, they compete. You wouldn't know these guys liked each other by the way they went about it in that series we played. They were fighting against each other. They wanted to win. Both teams wanted to win. But at the end of the day, they know they're teammates, they're brothers, they're friends. They'll be lifelong friends. And again, it's the perfect world in my mind.
Okay. I guess the last thing, because probably got to go around the horn. I guess obviously you said these jobs are still open, but who's sort of battling spot to spot? Who do you got?
I think at first base, you could probably say if we end up moving Jordan there, he'll battle Daniel Neal. It's a name I didn't bring up. Daniel Neal and Brian Harris, two of the freshmen that have come in. their level, their ceiling is pretty good. Those are two guys that are going to hit in the middle of our lineup eventually in this program. I hope it happens sometime this year.
Right.
But those are two guys that have some real thunder in their bats. I'd say Jordan and Daniel Neal would be at first base. Second base would be Moberg, and a possibility of maybe a Langhorne if he gets moved over from short. Max and Langhorne at short. We're going to look at some different combinations. We could even look at Jared Pruitt has had a good fall again. Yeah. Has put up good numbers. He just does everything right.
Right.
At third base, it's going to be a mixture of Nick and Jordan. So we have options, and that's what's been so hard is that we have options, and now we need some guys to start separating. And we as coaches have got to make decisions to put the best 9 guys on the field and where they fit the best.
Outfield catcher. And Tyler, I guess Tyler and Benito.
Tyler and Benito have given us, and we're really pleased with the freshman Sean Skelly. He's going to be a guy that's going to be a great catch and throw guy. It's a great compliment to what we have because we know with Benito and with Tyler, they're one foul tip away from being out for some games. Tyler's coming back from the back surgery. He's recovered well. It's wonderful to have his leadership back on the field again. Benito has gotten tremendously better offensively from last year. I guess there was only one way to go, and that was up. Yeah. And he's worked hard at that. I feel really good about that spot. In the outfield, we've got some great combinations, with Lance and Vincent and Chris Hall and Brody, Leffridge and Bryant Harris and Derek Lance. There's some great combinations. Dathan Pruitt's been playing the outfield. We have some good options. Now it's just finding the right options.
Okay. One more guy that I saw moving around, Aaron Soto was hitting the ball.
Yeah.
And crushing it. What's his potential sort of role in this team?
Well, as a guy that's going to be traveling with us almost every week, Aaron's a guy that we could use at times as a bat off the bench. Aaron is very aggressive, and he does crush. He just needs to learn that he can be a complete hitter and not pull everything. Aaron has made a big stride on the mound. If you want to talk about a change of a person, Aaron Soto was highly recruited, came in like a lot of freshmen, and was behind the curve a little bit.
Yeah.
He has, and a lot of it has to do with what he did this summer. That young man is now what we knew we were going to get when we recruited him. He's not only taken a big step on the mound, he's going to play an important, pivotal role in the pitching staff, but he has a chance to hit for us at times too. I don't know how much he'll hit, but he's a great option to have as a guy, a pitcher, if we're not using him to be a bat off the bench or a bat that could be in the lineup against a right-hander.
Very last thing. Established pitchers, guys that have been around a while, Kyle, Andy. What did you see from them? What kind of development did you see out of sort of your
Andy started. Andy, we were cautious with Andy. We started him a little slow, and he finished strong. His innings were held back a little bit, and he had in the World Series he had 2 really good outings. Made some adjustments with Kyle. I regret him now. He started out really good. I made some adjustments to his mechanics to try to help consistency. It went backwards. So we're going back to the drawing board to go back to what he was doing. Hunter Martin, I thought, took a step forward. Zach Warren took a huge leap. On the mound, he took a huge leap. He carried over what he did this summer and brought it into fall ball and was one of the most consistent. A name that hasn't been talked about, Eric Freeman. Eric Freeman was fabulous for us. He stayed within himself. He threw that little sinker and changeup. Our pitchers only threw fastball change all fall. We didn't throw any breaking balls at all.
Wow.
And it was unfair to them a little bit, but I went back to what I used to do and allowing them to learn how to pitch with their fastball and their change. They'll start throwing breaking balls in their side work starting next week and start developing those. But I thought Eric Freeman put himself really in the mix as a guy that could be a starter or come out of the bullpen for us with a lot of consistency. And then Daniel Vasquez, a young freshman who really was kind of a little bit like Freeman. Freeman was a little bit better, but they're kind of the same type of guys, sinker slider guys. And he had consistency until maybe his last outing in the World Series where he struggled a little bit. But there was some good pieces to not only the returning guys, but the new guys to make me feel good about what we're going to have at the end of this thing on the pitching staff.
Right.